The family would like water. The child's bravery, not surprising, in his church. And
he's 10 years old, and he was probably aware of what was going on and was able to be a good kid. He was always going to help.
kids up unusually early, and a teacher noticed LaShonda Armstrong didn't look.
Mentioned that she was going through something. Recently, she had removed him.
That was some heavy music. Right now, come and join me.
Liver now.
Hey, JP Dancer and Blake Brown. All right. We're looking at
April 14th. It was.
It was in April. Oh. So we're looking at. Well, I just discovered this today. So 2 months ago, a 25-year-old woman got in a car with her 4 children and drove into the Hudson. I was having to see that, and the oldest child, Sean was his name. 10 years old. He climbed out of the window and swam to shore. Talented 10-year-old. Whole family is going. But on I guess I can say a little bit of a happier note. Welcome to the Kevyn M TV show. You're watching Kevyn M. This is TV Live. And I'm sitting here with Gail.
I can't get in here for some reason.
See? Don't mind getting close. Get stuck. So, welcome back, Gail.
I was the original co-host. I got booted, but I was the original co-host.
You didn't get booted. You don't believe that.
What? The original is the original. There's no...
That you didn't get booted. But, so... Well,
I have a contract.
No one does. I don't even have a contract. Do you have any feelings or thoughts about what we just looked at? Video.
I think it was postpartum depression for sure. Postpartum psychosis.
People talked about in the report. Witnesses were saying that they know the family to be a happy bunch of people, but the mother must have been going through some things with a lover or something like that. I think.
You keep it to yourself.
You think that's what happens when you keep things to yourself? You
absolutely.
Just start, one day you just snap.
I can experience absolutely.
So you snap?
I've never snapped at me. I never. But I mean, I think a lot of people when they're going through stuff emotionally, they keep it to themselves because they don't want to share that with other people. A lot of people view that as weakness. Absolutely.
I mean, I agree with that, but I mean, to get to that point of saying, okay, I can't take it no more, I'm going to take all my kids, put them in the van, we're going to drive into the river.
But you know what? The thing is like, they're not, thinking rationally, and the thing is, like, a mother always thinks, who's going to take care of my kids if I'm thinking about killing herself. Obviously, her thoughts are going to go right to her children, whereas who's going to take care of my children?
Well, you know, another thing I looked at, or just came to mind, you noticed the fact that she was, what, 15 when she had her first
She was
child?
15 when she had her first kid, and she had her first kid, and then she had another kid 5 years later, which probably didn't trigger, but then she had another kid 3 years later, and then she had another kid 19 months later. So she had 3 kids within a 5-year period, and she's 25 years old.
Exactly. So
It's
you
a
think,
lot.
like, maybe life just got the best of her.
It's a lot. And the prime example that I would point out would be Britney Spears, because that's what she went through, and no one's going to tell me she didn't go through that. And
But Britney is a little bit different because Britney didn't take the kids, put them in the van, and drive out for her.
she was driving around with her kids without car seats on them. She shaved her head. she was definitely going through some shit. And then the Federline sued her for custody of the kids because she was unstable. No, absolutely. I think women, single mothers, have a lot of pressure on them nowadays.
They definitely do. They always have.
They always have. My mother raised 4 kids on her own. But I'm saying, nowadays, in the economic climate that we're in, you can't make ends meet no matter how hard you stretch it. This girl's 25 years old with 4 kids. Come on.
But like I said, I think it may be a little bit more than just the economy. Like, I'm pretty sure that played a big part in it, but I think it has something to do with some type of abuse she was dealing with.
You and I both grew up in abusive households.
Mm-hmm.
We went through it with my stepdad. It was bad. It was really bad. But my mother was strong. My mother never fought back with him until the end. And when she fought back, she just had enough. She snapped. But I don't know. Women bringing up kids on their own, it's hard. It's anybody bringing up kids on their own. It's not just women. A man bringing up kids on his own is hard. 4 kids at that age.
Yeah, she's very young.
That's a lot.
And you were fighting back, so I just kind of want to go back to another email that we were just talking about, this Tracy Morgan situation. So we all have heard so much about it. This is our chance to chime in on Tracy Morgan.
I want to point out, before Kevyn proceeds with Tracy Morgan's story, that not only is the comment that Tracy Morgan made despicable, but Tracy Morgan's father died of AIDS. Okay, Tracy Morgan's father died of AIDS because he was a drug user, but it is a disease that predominantly afflicts the gay community.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? And for him to make a comment like that is wrong on a multitude of levels. A multitude of levels. I mean, not only is it's hatred, it's hatred no matter how you look at it, but also you would think like somebody who's watched their father die of HIV and AIDS, which is primarily a gay disease in society's mind, he would have more empathy towards alternative lifestyles and people.
So I watched, excuse me, but I watched a clip of The View when they were talking about it, and I think Whoopi Goldberg and the other cast members, they were like coming to his defense a little bit. I'm trying to fix this so that we can.
Look, when you're on stage and you're a comedian, the idea is to get people to laugh. Absolutely. That's what you're there for. And you know what? You look at people like Andrew Dice Clay. I don't know how old a lot of you guys are that are watching us, but go on YouTube and look at Andrew Dice Clay.
Hey, Billy.
Go on YouTube and look up Lisa Lampanelli. People are very politically incorrect. Now, when you look at the fact that, what was his name? From Seinfeld. Kramer.
Yeah.
The guy who played Kramer, he said the word nigger on stage, and he got ridiculed for that. Rightfully so. But then you had Damon Wayans go on stage the next night at the Laugh Factory and say the word nigger 54 times. And gets away with it.
Certain things are.
He got the laugh because he's African American.
But
let me finish.
if a gay person got up and said stuff like that,
It would be okay.
it would, yeah. And that's the point.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm trying to get to, is that it was okay for Damon Wayans to say the N-word, but it wasn't okay for Kramer, whatever his name is, to say.
It's floating around my head somewhere.
To say the N-word. Whereas if if a gay comedian were to get up on stage and make the comment about,
Like, what? I'll go further. Maybe if a female said it. Because Lisa Lampanelli has a horrible mouth.
Lisa Lampanelli, man. We were in New York City, and we were walking down Caroline's, and we're like, let's go see a comedy show tonight. This was before she hit it big.
Mm-hmm.
We had no fucking clue what we were going to go see. It's me, my black boyfriend, my Jewish best friend, and all my Italian friends. We walked in there, and she cut us all right off and we laughed.
Yeah,
because it was a woman saying it. And
exactly.
you're not expecting a woman to say something like that. So that's shock value right there. But when it comes out of a man's mouth, you're right. You're absolutely right. Like, when I look back, if a dude was saying that, it wouldn't be as funny because there wouldn't be as much. Well, I'm talking about the way Lisa Lampanelli talks, because the guys are supposed to talk that way.
But, all at the same time, it goes back to something I brought up a couple of times in a blog and in my show last week with Carlton Pearson about being cultured and, like, the African American culture, how men aren't allowed to express themselves if they're gay, or like not too many men, black men in entertainment stand up and say, hey, I'm gay. So all on the same level, the idea that a black man is standing up saying this makes it even worse. It's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling, but I think that has a lot to do with it. And in no way, shape, form, or fashion am I saying that, okay, well, it's okay to say this or to say the things that he said. And his defense, Whoopi Goldberg was saying, well, look, we're all comedians, and sometimes we cross that line.
To get the laugh.
But after I bring up my next topic, then we're going to go back to that, I'm a comedian, and write it down.
There's definitely, people that cross the line. And there's topics that cross the line nowadays. Like, like Joan Rivers was talking, she was being interviewed, and she said she didn't know when, it was right after 9/11 happened. Mm-hmm. And she had all of these 9/11 jokes, and she didn't know when it was appropriate to start telling them.
Do you think it's ever appropriate to tell a 9/11 joke?
Well, actually, she was telling some of them, and they were funny. Like, she was talking about, like, what the widows got. They're getting $6 million a piece. She says, I'd fucking kill my husband for half of that. Okay. Some of it's funny, right? But, I mean, you have to laugh. You have to laugh.
So, and all of that, we were looking at article written by Adam Pulowski, and it's about Representative Alan West, who fires an intern for a pro-gay retweet, and the retweet happens to be dealing with this very topic with Tracy Morgan. And I'm going to read the retweet real quick. The retweet was, "Dear Tracy Morgan's son, if you're gay, you can totally come live with me. We'll read James Baldwin and watch Paris is Burning." So, I mean, definitely harmless and definitely pro-gay. But the problem is this guy who's a Republican, he's a black Republican, who he opposed same-sex marriage, and he
refers to gay marriage as an oxymoron.
Yeah, he voted to repeal the Don't Ask. He opposes the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So here's a guy who is clearly against gay people, and somebody in his office who managed his Twitter account posted or retweeted that tweet. So,
which wasn't my opinion, like I said, wasn't the intern doing his job? he was put in charge of the Twitter account.
I think that maybe it should have been reprimanded because, okay, so yeah, the intern is supposed to manage the Twitter account, but if you're working for this guy, this guy
is a homophobe.
He's pretty much a homophobe. So therefore, why would you go and tweet that? To be funny? Was it a joke?
I don't know. So maybe we could get him on the show.
We need to try.
We could get him on the show
and
find out.
So that's like the first thing.
But just the fact that he went ahead and fired an intern for retweeting that and not reprimanding him or disciplining him or suspending him, just coming out and fire him, just goes to show what a homophobe this guy is. Because it was a pro-gay tweet.
Yeah.
Now I wonder if the intern had done a gay slanderous tweet if the intern was still his job.
Exactly, but this tweet wasn't even originated by the intern. You have to really think about it. It's a retweet. Maybe the intern was just looking.
It was tweeted by Scissor Sister, the lead singer of Scissor Sister.
So basically, maybe the intern just went and said, "Oh, well, I agree with that. Well, that's funny. Push retweet." Because sometimes when you're you tweet from your phone, so you don't tweet.
I don't tweet. I follow people. I don't really. I tweet occasionally. Nothing.
But with me,
usually I just tweet to catch up with you and find out where you're at.
It could have possibly been that this intern thought, or felt comfortable enough to be honest, and maybe he's retweeted things before, so it was like, okay, oh wow, that's hot. Or I thought that was funny and just went and retweeted it. So, was being fired a worthy reprimand?
No, I think it was harsh, and I guarantee you he's probably going to end up getting sued.
We're going to come back to that.
Well, the thing is that the intern had access to the Twitter account and that he was doing his job.
But is that his job?
I would like to go on this congressman's Twitter account and see what kind of tweets he has on there, if they're of a personal nature or all political.
Let's go find out.
Probably closed.
I doubt that it's closed. I think more so they probably just erase those tweets. And you logged in? I thought I logged in. So we're going to go on Twitter and find out something about this guy. Let me get up to it. I will. But I want to go back to Tracy Morgan real quick. We talked about Charlie Sheen before, and Charlie Sheen lost his job on 2.5 Men because of his drug addiction, his behavior, and things like that. Do you think that Tracy Morgan should lose his job as on 30 Rock?
See, this is the thing. When the guy from Isaiah Washington from Grey's Anatomy made the comment against, I think it's J.D. Knight or something. He called him a faggot.
Oh, okay.
And then ABC was they were teetering on probably getting rid of him. Then when he got up on stage at the Emmy Awards and said, I didn't call T.R. Knight a faggot, and he said that on national television, they decided to let him go. Because it was too much. It was too hot to handle. But the thing is that Tracy Morgan is a comedian, and it wasn't said on television. So I don't think that NBC would really have any grounds to terminate him for that, or reprimand him.
Isn't it true that a lot of people? I mean, it's an extension of just like with Chris Brown. When Chris Brown and Brianna got into the thing, he lost a lot of endorsements. When celebrities get into a situation like that, they tend to lose a lot of endorsements.
Yeah, but Chris Brown didn't lose his.
I'll unfollow him later on.
Chris Brown didn't lose his job.
Well, Chris Brown is a singer, so
right, he employs himself. I understand that, but you do lose endorsements. Now, people may not want to watch 30 Rock because of his comment. Me personally, I think after a certain amount of time, you just become desensitized to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so used to, it's and not to come back to the N-word, but if somebody were to stand up and say that on national television, they would lose their job.
Exactly.
And I keep coming back to that because of the whole thing with Kramer versus Damon Wayans. I mean, Damon Wayans should have gotten in trouble for saying that too. Rightfully so, because he was an entertainer, and it can't be 6 of one, but it doesn't have another.
Well, you know that we live in a very mixed up society as it is. And when I say mixed up, I don't mean diversified. I mean crazy.
So let's keep adding to the craziness and not hold people accountable to the same standards.
I'm not saying that either.
Okay, so
But what I'm saying is it's different. It's
not different.
It's not different.
Okay, if the word fuck is a curse word, and you're not allowed to use that word at work, and you say to one of your coworkers, "What the fuck are you doing?" You get written up. So if I were to say to you, what the fuck are you doing? I should get written up. If you were to say to me, what the fuck are you doing? You should get written up. So if you were to turn around to another coworker at your job and call them a nigger, you should, listen to me, let me finish.
I didn't stop you.
You're all set to jump. You should get away with it, but if I were to turn around and call someone a nigger, I shouldn't get away with it.
Well, first of all, it was like, I don't even know if you would ever understand it. Like, black people took that word and they used it. I mean, they were already called niggers already. So even though it was using a derogatory way, it's just like a gay person say, oh, I'm a faggot. Let a straight person call me a faggot, though. Gay people have...
I call you a faggot all the time. It don't bother you.
You're not a straight man.
I'm as straight as they go.
You're lying as they go, too. So it does matter, and it does mean something. There's a difference. It's like, okay, well, we've taken this that you use derogatory towards us, and we decided that we're going to take this in. I don't necessarily agree with
A bad word is a bad word.
It is, but...
Okay.
But if a faggot got up on stage and
Well,
called
you want to be the faggot to get up and do it?
Listen, if a faggot got on stage and said, faggot this, faggot that, faggot this, what is anybody going to say? He's a faggot. I'm just using these words.
But if you're a faggot and you're up there talking about faggoty things like sucking dick, getting fucked in the ass, that's different. If you're a faggot and you're up there talking about stabbing another faggot and killing him, it's wrong. And I don't care how anybody looks at it. It's wrong.
I think for the most part, I definitely agree with you. But I also think that there's leeway here and there.
No,
there is.
There's not. Look, if you and I were sitting in mixed company, whites, blacks, gays, straights,
certain things you just
you
don't
know,
say or
but
do.
you know, with you and me, with everything we've been through, no matter what you or I say to the other person, we're going to get through it and we're going to get past it because there's that comfort level there.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is that there's 15 of us sitting in a room and we're all the best of friends and we know that we can have that camaraderie with each other and we're always going to come back from it. That's one thing. But when you're in the public eye and you make a statement like that, it's different. I mean, no matter how you want to look at it, you know from yourself being in the public eye that the bit that you're in it, you know, you're looked at differently and you're judged differently. You're judged harsher and you're looked at differently.
But you know that in entertainment, especially when it comes down to African Americans, whether it's rap, if it's comics, whatever, they use the N-word a hell of a lot. And nobody says anything because there is leeway.
I'm going to start calling my black friend N-word.
Try it.
What's up, nigga? When you walk
Try
in.
it.
No, I don't like that.
But you know it don't work that way. Like, realistically and honestly, it doesn't work that way. It's an unwritten law.
So if you and I got really drunk when I fucked up and I said, he's my nigga, would you get mad at me?
I wouldn't get mad at you, no. I don't mind.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But I think for Tracy Morgan, not only was it a gay slander, but it was also like it was like a terrorist threat to stab his son.
And I mean, I can see where it started off as a joke and it just went way overboard. So now that we're back on Tracy Morgan, I'm looking at the fact that they came to his defense. Whoopi Goldberg came to his defense and said, okay, well, we're comics. This is what we do. Now, Tracy Morgan released a statement. He apologized, and he said himself that, okay, yeah, I took it too far. I'm a comedian, and I got caught up in the idea of, you know, the joke, and I realized after a while, wait, no, this isn't funny. Cool. But why, like, is that enough? Like, there's certain boundaries that we should just know not to cross.
And I agree with you, but the thing is an apology is an apology. You know, who are we to judge how sincere his apology is? And like the thing I was saying about Tracy Morgan, he is a minority. He's an African American male. Mm-hmm. You know, they were interviewing him on Oprah Winfrey, and he said he didn't realize that, you know, he was hired to be on Saturday Night Live because he was funny, not to be the black person. You know, so he definitely has, you know, issues as far as like getting past things in life. I mean, but if you also look at the fact of how his father died, I don't know Tracy Morgan, but I would venture to say that he's not an asshole. I would venture to say that he was doing it to get a laugh and make a joke. Mm-hmm. Because if you look at him, he is a minority. His father has died of HIV, you know, and, you know, he's been in the comedy scene and he's been in entertainment for a long enough time. He's been around homosexuals his whole life. You know, most of his adult working
and they
life.
kind of brought that up, like the
Yeah.
fact that, you know, his makeup artist is a gay man, and like different people who he worked with on 30 Rock behind the scenes and whatever.
So I don't think he's, you know, I don't think he's a bigot. I don't think he's a homophobe. I do think that he took a joke and he, you know, it was maybe if he was in a room with no gay people, it would have never even got discussed. He said that.
But that's not true, because how many gay supporters are there? A lot of people who are straight, who are gay supporters, who have family members that they love dearly, who are gay. So, you know, I guess that doesn't really matter, because, I mean, Kramer, let's say there was no black people in the audience when he said the N-word. Somebody's going to say, well, no, that's offensive. Because, I mean, I know white people who are
I get offended when I hear it. I mean, even though I just said it several times during the show, you've known me a long time, you know that's not something or whatever. But my whole thing is I live in an urban city where there is a very large ghetto mentality, and you and I, we've talked about this before, where, you know, I worked for a Fortune 500 company where if I were to say a word like that, I would lose my job, but yet all of the African-American people who work together refer to each other as niggers. And
they walk up to each other, it's a greeting even.
Yeah, in the workplace, but if I were to walk up and go say that.
True, but I had a conversation a long time ago when I had Smokey on the show, and Addiction, one of the guys who reviews the show. We were holding a conversation about, you know, what's common with, like, common terminology, certain things like we talking about in the ballroom scene, how everybody's a bitch, a girl, or this, that, and like, if somebody walks up to me and calls me a girl, I find it disrespectful, but two friends, they can chat and read each other all night long, and they can be girls to each other, and that's not offensive.
But that's going back to what I had just said.
Yeah.
It depends on the situation and the company that you're mixed in with. Whereas I could get away with calling you the N-word if I wanted to. I know I could.
We can sit here, you and I,
right,
camera off, and we have a conversation. We can call each other bitches, niggas, this, that, and the third. With ourselves, yeah. Tracy Morgan has probably even rehearsed those lines, in his house with his son right there, and his son probably cracked up laughing at it. But when you're, like you said earlier, when you're in a public eye, when you're in a spot where you're in the public and you're an entertainer, there's certain things that you shouldn't say, certain things that you should know better than to do. You should know.
No, you're right.
Like, okay, yeah, the bigger the risk, the bigger the return. Yeah, we know that. But, like, you don't want to risk your career.
But the thing is for most of these comedians, it takes so much more than what he did. Like, look at Charlie Sheen.
Hold on real quick. It's funny because I said Addiction, then not long after I said your name, you come into the room. Funny.
Who's Addiction?
Addiction is one of
them. It's like the whole thing with Mel Gibson, saying and doing what he did. Saying and doing what he did. So finally people were like, you're a fucking asshole, and we've had enough of you. Like, the first time they let it go, the second time they let it go. This is the third time, the fourth time this guy's made a complete jitbag out of himself in front of America.
That's the difference. Like, yeah, okay.
So that
Mel
goes to show
Charlie Sheen. Yeah.
That's what he is. That goes to show that when, like Maya Angelou says, when someone shows you who they are, believe them.
So how many times do they have to show you for you to get it?
What's that?
How many times do they have to show you for you to get it? So Mel Gibson, repeatedly. Charlie Sheen, repeatedly. Here we have Tracy Morgan. Well,
I mean, you don't think everyone... Michael Richards has not really done anything since the whole thing where he said the N-word. So clubs are going to be very hesitant to book Tracy Morgan now at this point.
Exactly.
You know, so you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. But the thing is like with Mel Gibson, he is a cash cow. The studios made a ton of money off him. Charlie Sheen, a cash cow, the #1 hit show in America. You know, so they put up with your shit. You know, you know, Tracy Morgan, he's 30 Rock. It's a very popular show.
Do you think they're gonna learn their lesson sooner? In fact, no. I guess it's not, because Charlie Sheen made no apologies.
Yeah, but when you look at both Charlie Sheen and Mel Gibson, there's a chemical dependency problem there, which they say a drunk man's words are a sober man's thoughts. So obviously, this is the way Mel Gibson thinks. Charlie Sheen, not that he really does anything wrong, he's just a fucking mess. I mean, he doesn't really say anything about people. He's just a mess. You know?
So a quick update. We're talking about Tracy Morgan right now. We also brought up the situation where there was an intern who works for Representative Alan West who retweeted a post